Week 12 of the NFL season is here, and we have got another dynamic slate of games. The Chiefs taking on the Colts to try and recapture some momentum in the AFC playoff race. A battle between the Cowboys and the Eagles. Maybe the Cowboys have a shot at making the playoffs, maybe they don't. And of course, Rams, Buccaneers, which should be a pretty dynamic game, injuries aside. We're going to give you our picks for all those games, but before we do, if you are a fan of the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, helps us grow greatly, and share the video around if you can. Now, the Thursday night game before the picks, rough loss for the Buffalo Bills. This one kind of assures they are not winning the AFC East. They do not get that guaranteed playoff spot. They're going to start their playoff campaign on the road. If they even make it into the playoffs, which I assume they still will, they've still got a pretty good lead on that final wild card spot. But a heartbreaking performance from Josh Allen. You just have to be able to beat the Houston Texans when they've got Davis Mills as their quarterback. Short week, whatever. Offensive line not playing well at all, whatever. You expect some decent play from Allen, and really flustered in the pocket, letting himself get sacked, holding on to the ball too long. Maybe you want to pin that on the receivers. Maybe you want to pin that on a bad performance from the offensive line. But if you really are the highest paid quarterback in football, you need to rise above that to a certain extent. Allen didn't, and as things generally do when Allen doesn't play super well, Bills lost.
You hope, if you're a Bills fan, that the Bills lose their last regular season game, because it seems they get one bad game, one good game. If they lose the last regular season game in embarrassing fashion, maybe they'll show up in a big way in the wild card game, so they at least get one playoff win. But everything we saw from the Bills in this game, why they've been losing this season, it has just been a continuation of that. They don't really have a great run defense. Their defense in general has been the furthest thing from spectacular. And unless Josh Allen shows up in a major way, this team they're not super competitive. They're not a good football team. James Cook is really good, but other than James Cook, Josh Allen, if those two between each other aren't putting up over like 500 yards, they don't have a chance.
Yeah, you'd be a fool to bet against Josh Allen in the playoffs just because of the body of work he's got, but you'd be a fool to bet for this Bills team with how many areas of weakness they've got. I kind of think they got to flip some stuff up top. Yes, they've been very successful with McDermott, but you've got this clear superstar quarterback, once-in-a-generation type guy. You need to get him a better coach. You need to give him a better system. Maybe that means giving the GM the boot too if you think this team's really just too deficient, but McDermott kind of has to go. Unless they make a Super Bowl this year, that's it.
Bring in an elite offensive mind like Brian Dable.
Yeah, probably not. He can go be the assistant quarterbacks coach. He can carry Josh Allen's towel.
Who's carrying the jockstrap?
Gotta keep McDermott on staff or something. Anyway, Jets-Ravens, first game of the week. Not a spectacular start. This feels like more of a get-right game for the Ravens. Finally get back above 500, pull off the 5 wins in a row. Really enjoy yourselves. That sweet, sweet taste of victory once again. They're better in nearly every aspect of the game. And while the Jets have recaptured some momentum, Aaron Glenn does have those guys playing really well over the past 3 weeks for their standards. There's still just too much of a talent disparity if Lamar's on the field. The quarterback difference between him and Tyrod Taylor, night and day. The Ravens better offensive line, better running back, better receivers, better secondary. I'd still give the edge to, I'd say Baltimore's got the better D-line too, and clearly better linebackers. Worst ever besides maybe head coach. So yeah, Ravens at home.
Do you think the Tyrod Taylor not going to give that offense a boost? You don't think Tyrod Taylor's going to walk out there, light up that Ravens defense, bring home a victory to MetLife Stadium, the city of New York?
Well, really,
the state of New Jersey.
The state of New Jersey, but...
You don't think that's going to happen?
Do you?
I don't think that's going to happen. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, the Ravens. After week 1, we thought their offense was going to be phenomenal. Defense was horrible. Offense has kind of petered off here and there. Lamar's had some weird games dealing with a few injuries. Defense has improved. But as Isaiah already stated, the difference between the talent on the Ravens and the talent on the Jets, it's just two wildly different things.
Yeah, and Baltimore's undefeated since Lamar got back in the lineup, so...
Even though he struggled last week, but...
Oh, boo-hoo, he struggled last week. Myles Garrett sacked him 4 times, Tristan. Everyone would struggle in that setting.
This is true.
Can I pivot back real quickly before we fully get away from it? If not for Myles Garrett, I do think Will Anderson would be the Defensive Player of the Year. That dude is a monster. 2.5 sacks, ton of pressure on Josh Allen. On a stump play, which caused the interception, he opened up a defense tackle to rush around the edge and hit Josh Allen, leading for him to throw that bad interception late in the game. Anderson's fantastic at football. I can't believe you said that Neil Hunter was better than him going into the season. The only thing better about Neil Hunter than Will Anderson is that one vein he's got in his arm.
I don't remember saying that.
I believe you did say that in our defense.
We're just making up fake news.
I don't think we're making things up. I think you are a denier of greatness. Second best edge player in the NFL. Now, while you do the Steelers-Bears game, I'll be looking at the Thicc Man Inc. content history.
Steelers, Bears. We have Aaron Rodgers dealing with that, was it, finger injury?
Broken wrist.
Broken wrist.
Hand.
It sounds like he might play, he might not play. Either way, he's going to be banged up in this one. Could be taken out of the game with another big hit if he's not able to deal with the pain. But the Bears, they just have more dynamic offensive pieces than the Steelers have. Time after time, as the Steelers season has worn on, it has been proven that their 3 tight end set with 3 good tight ends has been very cool. It's given defenses some issues. But without another receiver to pair with DK Metcalf, their offense just doesn't have the juice. And the Bears, they know what they are. They run the football pretty well with DeAndre Swift. Ben Johnson has the offense progressing and getting better with Caleb Williams at quarterback. And they are just a better team right now. Ben Johnson has this team playing really well. They know how to win, and they'll get it done against the Steelers.
Ben Johnson does not have this team playing really well. What are we talking about here? Like, do we need to just pretend and exist in the land of make-believe? Because Chicago is 7-3. Do you think they played really well against the Vikings? This Vikings team, who can't pass the ball beyond the line of scrimmage consistently, was leading them with 50 seconds left. If not for a miracle kickoff return, they would have lost that game. This team is not playing really well. You look at the record and think, oh, wow. Has Caleb Williams improved? Does the offensive system look better than last year? Yeah, but the offensive system was completely dysfunctional last year, and they flipped their offensive line. Like, what are we talking about here? Aaron Rodgers off of perk at Soldier Field is absolutely torturing the Bears one last time for the road, for the retirement ceremony. He is going to fry this defense. Offensively, the Steelers' defensive line is better coached than pretty much any unit in the league. You see it when they play Lamar Jackson. They do a really good job keeping mobile quarterbacks in the pocket, making the skill players around them beat them. I don't think that's going to happen this week. I don't think Cole Kmet. I don't think DeAndre Swift. I don't think DJ Moore and his diminished role in the offense. I don't think Roman Dunze are going to be able to one-man band the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You named a lot of mans just to call it a
lot of men in a one-man band, man. It's one of those great things. Everyone's played 4 instruments. None of them are in tune. I don't see that happening. I think it's going to be another fairly low-scoring game, much like the Bears' last few. But ultimately, I do think the Steelers edged out due to the magic of Aaron Rodgers. Just one last perked-up Aaron Rodgers drive at Soldier Field for the memories. What a send-off that would be. I'm sure the Bears fans would love their father coming back to town one last time. In a new marriage with a new woman, an uglier, less attractive woman than his previous wife, and just putting the belt to ass one last time. I know I'd enjoy that. As much as I hate Aaron Rodgers, there's a certain beauty of football which would be manifested with that.
Not a big fan of the Bears.
Not really. Speaking of beautiful football, won't be seeing any of that in the Bengals-Patriots game. No Jamar Chase means the one avenue of victory for the Bengals is non-existent now. I don't care if Joe Burrow's back. I don't think he will be. If it's Joe Flacco, Joe Burrow, Joe Namath, Joe Montana under center, the Bengals are, they're comparably talented to the Ohio State Buckeyes. They may be the 3rd most talented roster in the state of Ohio. The Patriots are dog-walking this team and getting to 10-2.
Joe Burrow returning for the Bengals, it doesn't change anything. Unless he's going to turn back the clock to when he played defense in high school and he's going to go line up at safety or line up at corner and help stop Drake May in this Patriots offense, what is he going to change? We saw this Bengals team put up 40 points with Joe Flacco at quarterback, and that was when Jamar Chase was at least on the field. He's not walking back into an offense that has Jamar Chase at receiver. It's T. Higgins. You're going to have Christian Gonzalez plastering him. You're not going to be able to run the ball well with Chase Brown in this Bengals offensive line. So even if you are able to put up 30-plus points, there's nothing stopping Trevion Henderson, Drake May, and the Patriots offense from putting up more points than you. So he's not solving the Bengals' defensive problems. Bringing him back isn't going to change anything in Cincinnati, except make ticket sales a little bit better because people want to go watch Joe Burrow play. So it's a disaster over there in Cincinnati. The Patriots are going to win.
Not me, man. I love watching Joe Flacco. It does raise the interesting question, though. Like, the Bengals are probably going to look to move off Zach Taylor. I don't really think this is Zach Taylor's fault. Zach Taylor did not construct this defense. Zach Taylor doesn't call the defense. Zach Taylor probably doesn't have as much control over his own staff decisions as most head coaches do. And this team's offense, with a backup quarterback, with injured and bad offensive linemen, has been performing fairly well. So does Zach Taylor get another year? Is he on the chopping block? Who really cares? The Bengals' dysfunctional franchise. Speaking of dysfunctional franchises, Giants-Lions.
I know I've been committing to the gimmick in the bit of picking the Giants to win every single week the last couple weeks, but and maybe you expect me to yell about Jackson Dart humbling Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell doesn't know how to call an offense. The Giants' offensive line going to get after Jared Goff. Look what happened to Jared Goff last week against the Eagles front seven. I just can't do it. I can't imagine the Lions aren't going to be motivated after the way they lost last week to the Eagles. I think they are going to come out guns blazing. They're going to light up this Giants' porous secondary, and hopefully Jackson Dart at least looks good. I think the Lions will win.
In truth, I'd probably give Jackson Dart one more week on the bench if I was the New York Giants, just because he's not going to be playing in an offensive system, which will be here next year. He's coming off a concussion after being evaluated for 4. Maybe let this one just ride out a little bit longer before you throw him back into the teeth of another great defense. That'd be my only gripe about what the Giants are doing here. You've got Jameis. Let Jameis go out there and cook. Clearly, Detroit's going to win the game. But hey, maybe people in that building are trying to keep their jobs, trying to stay on staff in some way. Maybe Joe Shane is forcing Dart out there to say, oh, look, I hit on this pick. You can't fire me. Who's to say?
It's fantastic to know that John Mayer's nephew, Tim McDonald, director of player personnel, goes on family vacations with Joe Shane. So, they're very close. Not going to fire his nephew. Probably not going to fire Joe Shane, so that's just spectacular.
I get over it, man. Everyone's got nepotism in their organization. I'm sure Bengals fans are complaining about the nepotism within their organization. It's not an exclusive Giants thing. Anyway, Vikings, Packers.
Exclusive to bad teams.
There's probably some...
Unless you're the Cowboys.
Yeah,
even the Cowboys aren't good this year.
There's definitely some nepotism hanging around Kansas City and places like that. It's just covered up by the fact, they've got the best quarterback and head coach of the generation. Speaking of best quarterbacks of the generation, J.J. McCarthy did not play as bad as some of his critics would like you to believe.
No, he played as bad.
No, he completed 50% of his passes.
If
you looked on Twitter, you would think he dirted every single ball he threw. It's not good.
Well, he wasn't dirting them. They were going somewhere else.
Only 2 interceptions. It could definitely have been worse. Led a game-winning drive at Lambeau Field.
It was a game-losing drive because they did lose.
Well, it's not a game-losing drive. You go give your team the lead late. That's not what it's classified as. I know you're trying to muddy the waters here. You're trying to distract from the fact you root for a poverty team, trying to lump me in with you. I'm not like you. I support a winning organization, a winning team.
Winning. And that's what we're below 500 record.
And that's what we're going to get back to this week. The Minnesota Vikings are going to storm into Lambeau Field through the power of a defensive masterclass, are going to limit the Packers to about 25 points. I don't think it's unrealistic to say that by any stretch of the imagination. The Packers have just looked lost without Tucker Kraft. You would think maybe at some point they bounce back to their regular form, but the Vikings defense and Brian Flores have teed off on Jordan Love time and time again. With Dallas Turner playing as well as he ever has, now have 3 high-level edge rushers, you're going to have a real issue for Green Bay, particularly with the injuries they've got at tackle. Offense is going to look uninspiring in Green Bay. I just get that feeling that JJ against his banged-up, injured, talentless Packers secondary is going to be just fine. Enough separation will be created where the overthrows and the underthrows will not matter. Jefferson gets the ball, Addison gets the ball. They're not going to drop the gimme touchdowns JJ throws them this week, and everything will be kumbaya. Vikings are winning this game. I know I sound a little bit delusional to say that. I'm making it seem fanciful. Their offense will look better. The run game, particularly up the middle, will be pretty solid. They're winning this one.
At least one of us is committing to a bit this week. I can appreciate that.
Tristan, I'd point out the fact that, I'm committed to this. I'm trying to do the Giants thing. You picked the Giants to win half their games this year. I went back and checked last week when you started talking about it. You predicted them to lose 5 times. That's not a bit.
Given how bad they've been, it is a bit.
That's not a bit.
I picked them to beat some teams that they're not even close to.
I don't think you know what a bit is, man.
I think
you're just trying to be cute. You are trying to steal my thunder. You have no thunder. You have no chutzpah, no charm, and the Vikings are winning this week. Alternatively, be pretty funny if a team broke the single-season ties record. So maybe, through the power of McCarthyism, we get the Packers to 6-3-2, and then someone can tie them again later in the year and get them 3 ties.
While I don't think the coverage to J.J. McCarthy has been overly fair, because this is what, going to be his 6th start in the NFL? If this was 6 starts into his rookie year, the whole Sam Darnold thing never existed, and he was just succeeding Kirk Cousins, who's coming off that Achilles, he's been played bad on the Falcons. I don't think the coverage would be nearly as poor, and thered be more hope for his development. This impatience is largely due to the success they experienced with Sam Darnold and the success Sam Darnold is now having on the Seahawks. So I think it is imperative to still give J.J. McCarthy that time that he might be the future of the Vikings organization. But the bigger question for the short term is, how is 9 going to let the Vikings down this week?
9 ain't letting the Vikings down. 9's playing fine. The J.J. McCarthy side of things is the issue.
Is the cork finally going to pop out of the bottle, as J.J. McCarthy would say? He feels like he's ready to pop. He compared himself to a champagne bottle. Will he finally blow? I don't think that's going to happen this week. I don't think we're going to see J.J. McCarthy miraculously turn the page from sailing passes over Justin Jefferson's head. Justin Jefferson furious at him on the sideline. I don't think we're going to see Jordan Addison all of a sudden catch the few passes that J.J. McCarthy actually throws accurately. I think he's going to be on the ground with Micah Parsons on top of him early, often, and throughout the course of the game. One late game drive isn't going to save him.
It's okay to be wrong. Jordan Addison drops the passes. JJ sails away. As Jordan Addison going to drop 100% of the balls JJ hits him with this week? Is that the narrative? Is that the spin on things? Is it outside a cold Lambeau Field, a windy Lambeau Field, that Addison's not going to be able to use his hands? I know he's from SoCal, but he played at Pittsburgh a little bit in college. I know the Vikings play indoors, but come on now. Let's get serious here.
Oh, we are getting serious over here.
We're getting serious here, man. It's okay. We'll revisit this in the discussion of topics next week. Speaking of something revisiting, though, the Colts once again have found their way into a game against a top-tier contender. It's been a mixed bag when they played the best in the NFL. Sometimes they emerge victorious on last-second field goals. Other times, Adonai Mitchell forgets how to use his hands.
No
longer on the Colts. This week, they are headed to Arrowhead Stadium, and I've been pounding the table for Daniel Jones being a good quarterback, the Colts being one of the better offenses ever all year long, but this is going to be the last little bit of benefit I give the Kansas City Chiefs, because at the end of the day, it still is Patrick Mahomes coming off a pretty bad loss. He's the best quarterback of our generation. It's still Andy Reid, fantastic at calling, exceptional game plans, and really Steve Spagnuolo, regardless of what talent he's got around him, calls defenses better than pretty much anyone in the league. The current success of the Chiefs defense, it being average to top 10-ish somewhere in that range, is a true testament to how great Spags is, given how talentless that unit is outside Trent McDuffie. So, with all those things in mind, and at one of the hardest environments, I've just got to go out there and pick the Kansas City Chiefs, only to lose by 3 touchdowns this week. They're going to be able to keep it close for the first quarter, maybe even deep into the first half, before Jonathan Taylor and Daniel Jones blow the doors off that poverty franchise and absolutely dog-walking, sending them to 5-6 and ending their season. They've got it.
We saw Daniel Jones get exposed against the Steelers. It was a bad game. He did not play overly great against the Falcons. It was largely carried by a spectacular Jonathan Taylor performance. And do you really think, against a Chiefs defense led by Steve Spagnuolo, who's given quarterbacks fits with his blitz packages for years, Daniel Jones, of all guys, is going to succeed? No, I don't see that happening. The Chiefs, they are reeling to a certain extent. They have to win this game in order to stay in the playoff race. And I think we're going to see a more motivated Chiefs team go out there, teach the Colts a lesson. We're going to see Daniel Jones exposed by this Chiefs defense for what he is, and the Colts are going to lose. The only path the Colts have to victory is the Chiefs defensive line hasn't been as great as it's been in the past against the run. Maybe Jonathan Taylor, on the absolute tear he's been on, goes for 170 and 2 touchdowns, and the Colts eke out a win there. But I don't think we're going to see Daniel Jones be successful enough to lead the Colts to a win.
I mean, the beauty of you is you expose yourself as a non-Colts watcher every time you talk about him. Tristan, what teams did the best against Daniel Jones? The Steelers and last week the Falcons, right? Those teams didn't really blitz him all that much. They were able to pretty consistently get pressure with 4, and those high-profile edge guys made Daniel Jones fumble the ball, had the ball on the ground. When the Denver Broncos blitzed him over 50% of the time, he arguably had his best game of the season. It will behoove Spagnuolo not to blitz Daniel Jones an excessive amount, and rather just let the 4 guys, Karlaftis Jones, rush at him. But hey, if he does that, maybe the Chiefs have a very successful defensive day. Put 7 guys back in coverage, but who's to say? Of course, you're not to say,
You're wrong.
But Daniel Jones is going to get blitzed. You don't watch the games, man. It's okay. You're in deep denial. You're bitter.
Steve Spagnuolo has given much better quarterbacks fits than Daniel Jones.
Sure, go ahead and blitz him, though. Let's see how that works. Let's see how that lovely notion of yours plays out on Sunday. Do we even need to talk about the Seahawks-Titans game?
I don't have any notes for that game.
You look, man, the one thing you can say about Seattle, they're flying all the way across the country to play in a 1 p.m. game. That's not great for the internal clock. Maybe they won't score in their first drive.
Maybe. The Titans, they're the worst team I've watched in recent memory, and definitely the worst team I've watched since we started making content.
Yeah, we'll do a post-mortem on the Cam Ward experience once the year ends. But maybe it's a good thing they did not get a single primetime game this year. I don't think they'll be flexed into primetime as the season progresses later in the year. I don't see a playoff race being drastically affected by a Titans game. Jaguars Cardinals. Jags coming off their biggest win of the season, El Clasico beatdown of the Chargers, as is to be expected. And you've got to ask yourselves, can the Arizona Cardinals, with Trey McBride, with presumably Marvin Harrison Jr. back in the lineup, have some sort of offensive spark and not go out and whimper and sputter as much as the Chargers? Then the answer is clearly going to be yes. That was an exceptionally terrible Chargers offensive line day for what is a historically bad unit. Arizona's got a decent line. They're going to be able to hold up a little bit better and get some points on the board. But the Jaguars, overwhelming edge play. The defensive line, particularly the interior, has been playing better in recent weeks. Cornerbacks doing their job. Not great at covering tight ends, but Trey McBride, I'll use the expression again, he is really a one-man band. He's doing everything for the Cardinals. Will break the all-time targets record for tight ends in the season this year.
To be fair, the last couple weeks, is just one game Marvin Harrison was out with an appendix?
He was out last week with the appendix.
Yeah, so last week was,
He was still getting a ton of targets before MHJ was gone. But I choose to believe the Jaguars are going to keep some momentum going, get to 7-4, make it a little bit competitive for the AFC South.
Jacoby Brissett is coming off of one of the most efficient quarterback games we've ever seen, where he complete 47 passes, which is insane.
They had 57 attempts.
It was something
They were playing
crazy.
real soft. And they lost by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, so it didn't lead to a victory. And credit to the Jaguars. They handled the Chargers last week in a game I fully expected them to jag, because they tend to lose a lot of games they should win. But when it comes to this one, I'm not a big fan of either of these teams. The Cardinals, I think they've gotten a lot of flack for what has happened with Kyler Murray. There's been some negative media about Jonathan Gannon, but they've dealt with a whole lot of injuries, especially in their backfield. So I think their lack of success this year is a lot can be attributed to that. And this game just comes down to the coach that I trust more, which is Liam Cohen. I think we are going to see him be able to lead the Jaguars to win compared to what Jonathan Gannon has been doing with the Cardinals.
I think Jonathan Gannon is probably one of the 15 to 10 best defensive coordinators in the NFL. I don't know if he's one of the 32 best head coaches. It's one of those things that maybe you're cut out for some things and just aren't cut out for others. Like leading a team of 53 guys plus your practice squad plus all the staffers, a little bit more difficult than just calling a defense. And maybe he's been handed a particularly dysfunctional set of players, a quarterback who is more interested in Call of Duty 7, Black Ops, whatever the hell, than playing football. It's not really a fair first job, but he took it, so he's got to deal with it. Speaking of unfair spots, Shedeur Sanders, after a single week of practice, is going to be expected to go out there and start against the Raiders. That just seems unfair to me. Only 1 week of first-team reps. You really expect him to go play Max Crosby, this 2-8 Raiders team who's lighting everybody up? He can't go in a gunfight in this setting, man.
More people will be watching this game than should be watching this game. These are two really bad football teams. Shedeur Sanders is starting at quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, and I think the Browns stand close to zero chance against this Raiders team, because on this Raiders team, they have Max Crosby, who is going to get after Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders has a propensity to hold on to the football way too long. We might see Max Crosby eclipse Myles Garrett's 5 sacks that he's had in a single game, and he might go for 6 or 7. Granted, Myles Garrett might go for 8 or 9 against this Raiders offensive line and Geno Smith, which has also been very bad. So there might be some Shedeur Army members out there that think the game's rigged. They think when Shedeur Sanders throws 3 interceptions that the NFL is conspiring against him to be bad. The offensive line isn't blocking good enough. In reality, the Browns' offensive line sucks. The Browns as a team aren't very good. Shedeur is not in a great position to succeed, but he also has some major flaws that we saw in his last start and we're going to continue to see in this one.
If Shedeur does not succeed, it is product of a corrupt system. Unfortunately, we do reside within a corrupt system. Max Crosby will be sacking him 12 times because the Browns offensive line will just not block him. It's how it goes. We got to let the white man get on top of the black man, as is to be expected from the NFL. Raiders win, and we all know what's going to happen there. We know why. Anyway, Eagles-Cowboys.
If the Cowboys offense can jump on the Eagles defense early and they get going early, and that offense that has proven that they can be high-flying at points between George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb. Hopefully they don't stay out too late.
Well, they're not in Vegas this week, so. I mean, look, any team can go out and game plan or pregame for. It's probably the Raiders one of your best bets you can do without any consequences. I mean, what was Vegas going to do?
It felt like that was the case, certainly. And it also felt like the Cowboys were comfortable benching them because of who they were playing. But if they can jump on the Eagles' defense early and they can turn this game into a back-and-forth high-scoring affair early, I think it is possible they win this game. But the Eagles' defense has just been playing so good. I mean, 9 points to the Lions, 7 points to the Packers. They have been shutting down offenses that are solid offenses.
Packers look pretty bad without Tucker Kraft. That might not be a solid offense.
The Lions are a solid offense.
Not with Dan Campbell.
But giving up fewer than 10 points, regardless of the situation, is a beatdown and a shutdown from a defensive perspective.
Yeah, we're going to regress to the mean this week on that. Dallas is lighting this team up. They have not faced a truly competent vertical passing threat outside of J-Mo on this little run they've been on. Now they're stuck dealing with two guys who can make exceptional contested catches on the sideline, 2 guys who can make white cornerbacks miss in space, 2 guys who will just absolutely torture the Eagles' back end, and the Cowboys' O-line has been playing better in recent weeks. On the other side of the ball, it is night and day the difference Quinnen Williams has made to this Cowboys front 7. Sure, you can make the arguments about the competition they've been playing, but they really do look good with Williams on the field. I think that will continue over into this week. Him picking on a weak interior offensive line for the Eagles will hinder the running game, certainly, but that's been hindered all year. But more importantly, will stop Jalen Hurts from having 4 or 5 seconds in a pocket. We'll put pressure on him, make him throw the ball to A.J. Brown, and the synergy has just not been there this year. Those balls sailed, underthrown, overthrown. A few of them will find their way into the hands of Cowboys receivers, who, while getting burnt by 3 or 4 yards, will be in the perfect spot for where that ball invariably lands. So I got the Cowboys pulling off a pretty big upset, getting to 5-5, and saying there's still some shot of them holding on to their playoff hopes. They're not dead yet. They're close, but they're not done.
You said you don't really got a game plan for the Raiders. That's how bad the Raiders are. Quinnen Williams is not going to have the same game against the Eagles that he did against the Raiders. They're just not even 2 teams that are in the same stratosphere when it comes to offensive talent. And what I think the Eagles lack in competent coaching on the offensive side of the ball, and is the biggest reason this offense has been struggling. Kevin Petula, whatever blame you want to assign to Nick Sirianni from an offensive production standpoint, I think that has been the problem. It is not hard to put up points on this Cowboys defense, this Cowboys secondary, and score enough points to beat them. Like, I don't think it's not going
Lane
to be hard.
Johnson playing this week?
He's not.
Interior O-line still a mess with injuries?
They're not fantastic.
Jordan Mailata having a down year outside of the running game?
He's still good.
Good run blocker. Yeah, man, the Cowboys' defensive line will look as good as they have against a competent team all year. Buckle up. I know you don't like the Cowboys, but you're going to have to handle...
I don't like either of these
You're going to have to handle them being in the playoff race once again. It would suck for you if Dallas and Philadelphia made the playoffs. You're 2 of the least favorite teams. That'd be sad. Speaking of sad, Saints, Falcons, you want to handle this one?
Well, we've seen Kirk Cousins too much already this season. The Tyler Shuck experience, as crazy as it sounds, I think is going to eclipse the Kirk Cousins experience.
Shuck ain't been bad, man.
He's been okay. He's been decent. The Saints are fresh off of a bye week. They're going to be as prepared as they possibly can be, and I think they're going to beat the Falcons. Any faith I had in the Falcons has been completely destroyed. They keep losing games that are easy ones. They lose games they should win, and they just gave up 400 passing yards to Bryce Young.
Well, Bryce Young's pretty goated, man. But principally, I want the Saints to lose if Spencer Rattler is not their starting quarterback. I think he kind of got a raw shake of things. And the Falcons are a supremely talented team with a top 5 offensive line by some metrics with Bijan. So I think they kind of just grind this one out against the Saints. I'll throw Atlanta in there just so we have a different pick, but I'm not watching this game.
On principle, you want the Falcons to lose just so the Rams don't have another top 5 pick.
Yeah, that too, I guess.
The Falcons to win. I think I said lose, whatever.
That is a bit of an egregious malpractice. We can only hope McVay starts whiffing on picks. Buccaneers-Rams was arguably the game of the week, and we can drone on about Tampa Bay's injury issues, but they have been very effective offensively against a mixed bag of defenses. I don't think they're going to be shut out regardless of how good the defensive line they're facing is. I think they're going to have a somewhat clean pocket. I think Baker Mayfield is going to have time to make plays, and I think against this Rams secondary, those plays, regardless of if it's practice squad wide receivers or not, will be made. On the other side of the ball, though, I just got no faith in them to be able to keep up with the Rams. The question you can ask yourselves all year is Devontae Adams, is Puka Nacua, or is Matthew Stafford going to go down? If the answer is not no, which shouldn't predict them to, yeah, they're going to score about 40 points and absolutely light you up. So in a gunfight, the Rams are better situated to win that. Neither defense really has enough chutzpah outside their defensive line to stop that, so I'll go LA. This will be a pretty entertaining game.
The question you have to ask yourself in this one is who is going to win the shootout? Because we know the Rams have the ability to put up 40 points. We know the Buccaneers have the ability to put up 40 points with the way Matthew Stafford has been playing this season and the way Baker Mayfield has been playing this season. It comes down to which defense do you trust a little more, and you have to, at this point, trust the Rams defense to put Baker Mayfield on the ground a couple more times than the Buccaneers defense is going to get after Matthew Stafford. I think with the way the Rams have been playing, they're second in the NFL in turnover differential. They're more likely to generate a turnover, generate a stop here and there, which will be enough to eke out the Buccaneers in a shootout. So I think the Rams are going to win. I think they're the most well put together team in the NFC, maybe the NFL, and I think they're going to win.
Last week, their offense did kind of get shut down for the most part. I know they scored 21 points. They had 4 interceptions, a lot of drives starting in the red zone or certainly on their side of the field, in large part due to how much pressure the interior of the Seahawks defensive line put on LA. Vita Vea is a factor in that, but he's not a premier pass rusher at that position. It's going to take an Elijah Roberts game we have not seen in a good while to really match that. So I do kind of agree the Rams will win. If there is a weakness on the Rams offensively, it's teams who can pressure them up the middle. So if they play the Eagles again, we saw the first Eagles game turned out, maybe they've got a shot, presumably against the Seahawks. Their defense will once again be able to keep them in somewhat check. I don't know if they're the best team in the NFL. I think they've got a few bad matchups, but certainly they're one of the top dogs. I mean, who doesn't have bad matchups in the NFL? The AFC feels like a big game of rock, paper, scissors, and the NFC is just a bunch of bums. Speaking of a bunch of bums, the 7-4 San Francisco 49ers versus the 6-5 Carolina Panthers. Who would have guessed, with how many injuries San Francisco has, and now the Panthers are the Panthers, both these teams would be above 500 in Week 12.
The Panthers could be playing for the NFC South lead right now, especially if the Buccaneers lose as we're predicting.
Yeah, the Buccaneers dropped this one. The Panthers have the division in their grasp. Will that hold up through 2 matchups against the Buccaneers? Probably not. You know what? Screw it, man. I'm going to vote for the hometown. I don't know how it's going to happen, but Bryce Young's doing it again.
He just had the best game of his career. Do we really think that's going to happen twice in a row, especially when you're playing the 49ers defense, who are probably the most well-coached unit in the NFL now? Of course, they have a lot of injuries they've lost during the season. Their talent isn't quite what you'd want it to be at this point in the year because of all the players they've lost due to injury, but they are a well-coached unit. They're going to get after Bryce Young. I don't see Bryce Young lighting up this 49ers defense. I don't see Rico Dowdle going for 200. And we saw with Brock Purdy back in the 49ers offense last week, he gave their offense a little bit more juice. His ability to move the pocket around, the mobility he has compared to Mac Jones, gives the 49ers offense a little bit more flexibility, and it is going to improve their ability to put down a team like the Panthers. So I think the Panthers are going to lose, the 49ers are going to win.
Woefully incorrect. Say what you want, but they're going to get after Bryce Young. They're going to do these abstract things. You can't name 3 starters in the 49ers defense right now. I'm telling you what, man. Passing lanes are going to open up for little Bryce Young. He's not going to need to flee the pocket. He is going to have his live sides. I see you Googling the roster right now, so don't try and be slick. He is going to be able to see.
I have the power of editing.
See little Tedero McMillan. Yeah, and I've got that camera, so if we want to post this as a separate clip, this is going to be the promotional content for the week, folks. He's going to see Big Ted McMillan looming over those jabronis from the practice squad who are being coached up better than anyone else in the league, according to you. And he's just going to chuck it up, and Ted's going to make a play. Maybe Legette's going to make a play. And maybe Sanders is going to keep the momentum he's got over the past few weeks. Sure, a tight end wearing the number 0 is stupid, but he's making it work.
Can you name
and
3
maybe
starters?
Chuba Hubbard is going to really get after on the ground. I'm not talking about how great they are, man.
I'm just asking.
And maybe Chuba Hubbard is finally going to get back into the line and get going. I'm feeling good about the Carolina Panthers, man. You got any counter to that? Nothing?
You're spewing a bunch of nonsense. It's all a bunch of malarkey, hyping up players that aren't as good as you're hyping them up to be.
Tedero McMillan's not in the offensive rookie of the year race.
That's
pretty good, man. Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard are pretty good, man. The interior of the Panthers offensive line opens up passing lanes better than pretty much anyone else. I say Bryce Young's superpower is throwing the ball away and not getting sacked as much as he should. The interior of the Panthers offensive line superpower is opening up passing lanes where the little man can finally see out of the pocket.
I wonder if the Panthers will ever trade for Willie Lampkin to, get a shorter center so that Bryce Young can see further down the field.
Bring him back to Carolina. Yeah, man. I don't think Willie Lampkin's played this year. Was it the Eagles who got him off the practice squad?
I think he's on the Eagles now.
I'd like to see that at some point. The interior of their O-line's been bad enough where if Lampkin can play, I think he should get a crack, but maybe he can't play. Maybe it's a Raiders guard situation. He's just not good enough. Or maybe being 5'11" has its drawbacks.
I want to see him trying to block Jordan Davis.
Low man wins.
It's true.
I mean, there's probably practice footage of that out there somewhere.
Those were our Week 12 predictions. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. Do you think the Panthers are going to win? Will the Cowboys get one over on the Eagles? Like the video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next one.